Hey readers, it's Kaylin Shaner, and this is my to be read list for July 2019. Welcome back to my channel. So this is my TBR for July this year, and I'm not really sure what the average is, or like if this is too many for some people, or if this is like a lot fewer than most booktubers. I'm not really sure. I've never done a TBR list before, and I also am releasing my first novel, and I am in the process of outlining a whole new novel, editing a third one, a different one, and I also do AuthorTube, so I try to switch my videos back and forth between book-related stuff and writing-related stuff. So 5 for me is actually biting off, hopefully not more than I can chew, but it's a large chunk. So, without further ado, I got The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory? I know I'm butchering this. I'm gonna go with Guillory, and correct me in the comments, please. But The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. I got this through Book of the Month. I don't remember which month this was. It was a little while ago, and I just hadn't gotten to it yet with stuff going on recently. But it's definitely on my list. It looks a lot more contemporary than what I usually read. I'm a huge fan of fantasy and sci-fi, and this seems a little more chick-litty. But I have been known to enjoy those in the past. I'm certainly not a snob. It's just not my first go-to. And I could be wrong. It might not be as chick-litty as I'm anticipating. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. So it wasn't a book that I was itching to jump right into, because I had other books on my TBR list recently that were just more my style. But it does look good. I am excited. I'm good. I'm down for a good romance. And I really like the way it sounds that the story starts off. She gets a scoreboard proposal from her boyfriend, and they've only been dating for 5 months, and he can't even spell her name correctly, so it says. And she doesn't want to marry him, and so she says no, and in a stadium full of people, and that's just from the front of the book jacket, and yeah, I totally support that kind of mentality. You have the right to say no. You should never feel obligated to be in a relationship you don't want to be in, or take a step that you don't want to take. And so I really am excited to see where this goes. Secondly, this was in a book unboxing I did a while ago. This is another one of those books that I actually started reading. And it didn't catch my interest immediately, so I picked up something else. But I really am intrigued by the premise, so I'm going to pick it back up again. Hopefully I don't DNF it, and we shall see. But this is The Clockmakers Daughter by Kate Morton. The cover is insanely beautiful. Like, I kind of wanted to pick up this book based on the cover alone, and I know you're never supposed to judge a book by its cover, but that's a saying for a reason, and it's because of books like this that are so beautiful that you want to pick up the book, even if it's not quite your style, or you're a little iffy about it. But it looks like a historical fiction kind of book, with a mystery and a touch of magic. There's a murder and thievery, love and loss, and I'm a fan of historical fiction. I really enjoyed Little House on the Prairie as a kid. As an adult, I was a huge fan of The Lady Elizabeth, which is basically the story of Queen Elizabeth being Anne Boleyn's daughter and growing up with her sister Mary and all of that fun stuff. So hopefully I will enjoy this book. Thirdly, I am actually really excited by the prospect of reading The Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. It looks a lot more my style, like something I would just naturally want to pick up. The problem with Book of the Month for me is that you only get so many options per a month, and they're trying to span. Oh my goodness. And they're trying to span all these different genres to make a lot of different people happy and give everyone an option that they're comfortable with. So if there's a fantasy book or a sci-fi book that I don't gravitate towards immediately, it might branch out of what I would normally jump at the chance to read. So that's kind of where the proposal came from, and a little bit The Clockmakers Daughter. But Wicked Saints, I've seen this cover and, you know, this book displayed on Instagram, Bookstagram, a lot recently. I love the cover, and just from the inside flap, some of the highlighted parts, the emboldened parts are a girl named Nadia who hears the whispers of the gods inside her head, a prince surrounded by desperate suitors and deadly assassins, a monster hidden behind pale, tortured eyes, and a smile that cuts like a knife. Like, that just absolutely sounds like something I'm going to love. So I'm kind of saving this for last as sort of a treat to get through the other books. I hope that doesn't sound as bad as it did when I heard myself saying it. But I'm very much a desserts for last kind of person, saving the best for last kind of person. So we shall see when we get there, but I have high anticipation for this book. And then another one that was one of those things I wouldn't normally pick up. So I'm curious. I'm definitely curious. The one thing that gives me pause about this book is the exact opposite of Kate Morton's book, where it actually sounds really intriguing, but the cover is... I've seen this cover with the same style, but in other colors, and it's looked better. But overall, I'm sorry, this cover looks really bland to me. This is Recursion by Blake Crouch, and it's just a really boring cover for me. But it's all about false memory syndrome and neuroscientists, and it's a sci-fi novel about memory loss and recovering memory, it looks like, which I love the premise of. I've actually dabbled in that in some of my later novels that have yet to be edited and published, but I'm definitely interested in that concept. So, fingers crossed for this one. And then, the last but not least, the one I am most excited about and have actually already started reading the first couple chapters of, because I'm just so excited. I am total trash for anything having to do with Cassandra Clare. I started reading her books in high school. They were actually recommended to me by my best friend, and the first couple were actually kind of hard for me to get into, because it was such an expansive world and there were so many characters. And the great thing I've noticed about Cassandra Clare is that she gets better the longer she writes, which is what you always hope for as a writer. So great for her. Really, really grateful and proud of her for that. But it does mean that as spectacularly wonderful as her series are, that maturation process makes her early books seem not quite as well written and not quite as engaging as some of her later stuff by comparison. So the first few that she published, I was a little iffy on. I enjoyed, but they weren't really my thing. As I started reading prequels and sequels and such, I love the Shadowhunter series. I have watched the movie, I've watched the TV show, I have read almost every book. Um, okay, that's a lie. Like three-fourths. Like three-fourths. I don't currently have the funds to go out and buy the rest. But without further ado, the last book on my list, and the most exciting, the most anticipated, is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassie Clare. I've already started reading it, I'm in love with it, and as much as I love Clary and Jinx, and I do, I adore them, and Tessa and Will, yes, I love that she gets together with Jem later on. I love that she gets to have both loves of her life. But I'm definitely a Tessa and Will shipper. As much as I love all the other couples in the series, Malik just gives me life. Magnus and Alec are one of my favorite ships in all of fiction, TV, movies, books, you name it. Malik just lights my face up with a smile every time. They are so cute together and have fought so hard to be with each other, and getting a whole novel dedicated to them and their adventure in Europe and starting a romantic vacation in Paris is just, oh, it gives me life, guys. I love it so much. So, I said earlier, I'm like a saving the best for last kind of person. With this book, I was so excited I couldn't help it. Like, it's Shadowhunters and it's Malik, and I haven't been able to put it down, and I just started reading it yesterday, and I'm in love. I'm so in love. So, moving on from that gush fest, that is my TBR list for July. Hopefully I can make it through all of them. I've never really set goals for myself in terms of reading. I've definitely done it with writing, but never with reading. I usually just read a book, and when I finish, I'll do a video on it. So we'll see. I'm excited and nervous about whether or not I'm going to accomplish my goal. Let me know down in the comments which one you're most interested in, and if you've read any of them, tell me what your favorite was to read. And with that, I will leave you guys and see you in the next video. Bye!